SLOE Motion started in around about 2002 when we, working on a farm just south of Malton, started experimenting with trying to improve the economic and the environmental sustainability. We took out a lot of land from production and started planting various crops to help wildlife, flowers and wild bird food crops and so on. As a result of that work, we stopped needing to cut in the hedgerows every year and suddenly found we had a huge flush of SLOEs, and thought, well, this is another crop from the farm, and we could start harvesting them and turning them into products. And so the idea of SLOE Motion was kind of born out of an accident, really.
And what was your drive for doing something for the environment, doing something for wildlife? What's your background in terms of?
Yeah, well, I worked for 7 years for the RSPB in the Agriculture Policy Department from a farming background. Very interested in the ways in which farmers who have so much influence over the majority of the countryside, how they can do things within the bounds of their normal business to help wildlife, and that was really the drive behind it, of trying to do simple things that any farmer could do, using the grant schemes where necessary to try and enhance them, and then potentially being able to produce food, possibly even process it, and then market it, and market the fact that they're doing something positive, and that would therefore increase the price of their food that they could get.
I mean, a lot of farmers would think naturally, okay, if I take land out of production and turn it over to wildlife, if I let my hedgerows grow, then I'm going to lose money on that, because land equates with cropping and making money.
Well, what we found, and this is certainly the case with most arable farms, is that the areas at the edge of the fields are naturally low productivity. Our farming forefathers put hedges where they did, largely because it was unproductive land, and so you find that land at the edges of fields tends to be lower in production. And we found through years of yield mapping and profit mapping on the farm that it was actually better economically for the farm to take those areas out, just stop trying to produce food out of it, and then so you can devote it to something else. So it was better economically for the farm. So when we implemented this policy, the farm profitability went up, and then we did lots of bird counts and bee wildlife, invertebrate counts and so on, and the wildlife of the farm increased dramatically just from having these kind of, I suppose, intensive areas of wildlife production, as well as the intensive areas of food production.
But profits didn't go down?
Profits didn't go down, no, profits went up.
So do you think this is a practice that other farmers could
do?
Even at the moment when perhaps grants are being cut and so on, is it still feasible for them to do
I think it is really, yeah. I mean, I think, even without the grants, we were still making more money by stopping putting fertiliser, stopping driving tractors, ploughing and things, all of which are expensive operations over bits of land that just aren't worth it. I mean, year after year, unless you're really studying your land and your business hard, it's easy just to carry on doing the same old things. The same in any business, but it's actually worth looking at where you're making money and where you're not, and this is what we were trying to do.
I'd like to talk to you a little bit about hedges. Now, I've just driven along the 170, the A170, from Helmsley, and just before Kirby Moorside, of course, we've got the hedge cutting going on at the moment, and I'm an environmentalist. I'm very concerned about the fact that when you see these giant cutters and they're ripping the hedges to bits. Now, what would you say about that?
Well, if you know how to use the machine properly, you can still manage a hedge well with a machine, but they're often not used properly. I don't think I'd say I'm an expert in hedgerow management, but all that I know is that when we did the work on Manor Farm, because we had these margins, we didn't have to cut the hedges every year. Farmers often do that to reduce shading, reduce competition, and there's an absolute need to do that in some instances if you're cropping right up to the edge. But if you no longer have to crop right up to the edge of the field, then you can let the hedge grow longer. SLOEs will only grow on second year growth. So if you cut your hedges every year, you won't get any SLOEs, or you'll get very few. So if you allow your hedges to grow up over 2 to 3 years, you'll get much more fruit. And part of the philosophy behind our business was that this would be a win-win. So if farmers let their hedges grow, they could then sell us SLOEs, and that's really what we wanted to try and do. And we're still keen now, trying to find farmers, people out there to pick SLOEs for us and grow SLOEs even from those hedges. So if you cut those hedges every year, you won't get any SLOEs. If you don't, if you allow them to grow up, that provides lots of fruit for wildlife. Fortunately, not many wildlife species eat SLOEs, so you can pick your SLOEs, have lots of other fruit for the wildlife, and then sell them to us. And so you're hopefully making money out of this positive environmental action. We'd love to hear from anyone who wants to pick SLOEs, particularly farmers, and they've got good hedges and they've got some time or some labour to pick the fruit. But also, you know, if there's anyone entrepreneurial out there who wants to grow sloes, you know, plant the centre of your fields, there might even be grants for it. I don't know. I don't know if you could claim that if you plant a line of blackthorn through the centre of a field, that would be another hedgerow, and maybe there's a grant there for that. I know the grants are being cut. But yeah, I'm looking for someone entrepreneurial who can guarantee some production for us. You know, if people have got a bit of spare land and they're willing to have a punt, you know, we're willing to talk. We need around about 7 to 8 tonnes of sloes a year. That's quite a lot to pick. Currently the sloes come from all over the North Yorkshire county, and we have teams of pickers out there, but yeah, always looking for farmers. The way to recognise a sloe or a blackthorn is really to go out in the spring, February, March time. They're the first plant to flower in the spring. So when you see hedges with white flowers on, with no leaves on the hedges, that will almost certainly be a blackthorn. On the hawthorn, you'll have flowers with leaves, because it's in May. So yeah, that's the exact opposite. So yeah, these lovely white flowers on bare hedgerows will almost certainly be sloes. Or almost certainly be blackthorns. You know, that's a 99% certain chance. The problem for those plants is that there can still be frosts at that time. So if there's frost onto the blossom, or if there's strong wind, or if it's generally cold, no flying insects, you will get no pollination, and therefore the potential to lose a crop is quite high. And so year on year, you're not absolutely certain whether you're going to get the crop, and particularly up in the north here, you know, we are more vulnerable than in the south because it is naturally colder. So there are years when, you know, even though the flowers looking there lovely and wonderful, it was so cold that the insects couldn't fly and they're insect pollinated, or the frost got to the blossom and will kill the blossom. So even when you have lots of flowers, sometimes you don't get the crop out as well. But in 2008 we had snow on Easter Day over pretty much the whole country, and that pretty much wiped out the entire sloe crop. So in that situation, we do have, you know, we can't afford not to have sloes. We do use the old agricultural adage of making hay while the sun shines, so we do buy more than we need. I mean, our USP is that we produce sloe gin like people make it at home, really. We just use bigger tanks. You saw some of the tanks, so I guess we may go and look at those again. We just use good whole wild sloes, sugar, and a good quality gin, yeah, we just use 500 litre tanks where you may use 5 litre tanks or 5 litre demi-shots at home. We leave generally for around about 16 weeks in the tanks until they get to the right sort of colour, taste and alcohol levels. And we've won lots of taste competitions, Great Taste Awards, Taste of Britain, those kind of things. You know, so it's done very well and has been recognised as being a good quality product. We also then, if anyone knows anything to do with sloes, they might know sloe gin, but we also produce a sloe whiskey, sloe vodka, sloe brandy. Actually, sloe whiskey has won more awards than anything. In terms of acclaim, we've had more awards for our sloe whiskey than anything else. Whiskey is rather polarising to people. They either like it or they don't. But in actual fact, when we do blind tastings, we sell more whiskey on taste alone than anything else, and actually to people who don't really like it. So that's quite an interesting aspect. And then in the last couple of years, we've branched out, moved down the hedgerow, and produced a damson gin, and also now a cherry brandy. Cherries don't really grow in the hedgerows, although you do see wild cherries around. We found probably the most northerly cherry orchard in the country supplies with beautiful English cherries from Nottinghamshire, and we make a fantastic cherry brandy, which is delicious. But also, unlike the other producers and perhaps people at home, we don't, once the liquor has been made, the liqueurs have been made, we don't throw the fruit away, and this is a part of the element of sustainability for the business as well. We de-stone the fruit, we keep all the fruit once it's out of the liquor, de-stone it, and then use that fruit, which has taken in quite a bit of alcohol and sugar in time, to put into chocolates. So we mix the fruit with a ganache, confectioner's ganache, which is cream, butter, alcohol, all the really healthy things, and then roll it in dark chocolate. So you get a real handmade liqueur, truffle chocolate. And then also we make things like sloe chutney, again using the spent fruit, or sloe jelly, which is great with sort of cooked meat, and the damson chutney as well, using the damsons that come out of the gin. And so really the only thing we now throw away are the stones. We have tried to use the stones, we've got some amusing stories actually. There's a local pig producer who was interested in the waste products, because obviously pigs eat stone, you know, naturally have a propensity to pass stones through their system. So we thought, well, maybe that's we can use the stones for this, because the stones have quite a bit of fruit attached still. They don't pop out.
Don't tell me they got incredibly drunk.
They really didn't enjoy it. It was quite amazing. I mean, we were hoping they would add a natural flavour to the meat.
To the meat, yes, another product.
Another product, indeed. But yeah, we put the stones in the pen one night and came back to them in the morning, and they'd obviously been digested and taken in and taken out as well. But yeah, the pigs were not happy.
Yeah. So if anyone's got an idea what to do with the stones,
we've tried to germinate them, but I think the time in the gin, unsurprisingly,
has knocked that on.
Yeah, knocked that on the head. So there are lots of essential oils actually in sloe stones, like they're all in all drupaceous plants. So we've thought about that too. But yeah, we're looking for a solution for the stones. We have about 350 stockists around the UK, farm shops and delicatessens and food halls, good quality places. Within the sort of North Yorkshire, around in the park, Hunters of Helmsley, Beadham Grange Farm Shop, or Feast Deli in Pickering, a nice new business. On the north side in Stokesley, Deli on the Green, Deli by the Green, and also Hornby Tea Shop right in the centre of the park, I guess. But then we have a number of others around here: Castle Howard, Farmer's Cart, Balloon Tree, lots of good quality farm shops. And you can look on our website to see the other stockists, which is www.sloemotion.com.
And for anybody watching this who isn't local, obviously they can order through the website.
They can order see if there's a local stockist, but also order online. And yeah, we send out mail order. Yeah.
So you've obviously got a growing range of products. It's a growing business.
Yeah, no, we're pleased. It's jolly hard work, as any business person will tell you, whatever you're doing, but it's enjoyable, and yeah, the business is growing nicely. We're getting lots of new suppliers, and we're riding the wave of interest in good quality, locally sourced, sustainable food businesses, and that's very much in our background and in our ethos. And yeah, we're really pleased that it's growing so nicely.
And during the summer season, there's obviously lots of agricultural shows going on. Will you be going to any of those?
We do. We do quite a bit of food shows, so we go to the Yorkshire Show, Great Yorkshire Show. We'll do the York Food Festival, the Malton Food Festival coming up in a few weeks' time. It's a brilliant little food festival. So we do lots of summertime shows. Really, people will associate these products with winter time, and going out on cold winter days, or hunting, shooting, and all of that kind of stuff. And people have a nip of sloe gin to warm the cockles of their heart. But also during the summer shows, we do lots of things, mixing the products with mixers, so it's a cocktail base. So we do, instead of having pins and lemonade, why not some slow whiskey and ginger beer? It's delicious with a good squeeze of fresh lime. But yes, we do lots of shows throughout the year, and again on our website it's a list of all the shows, so people can see where we're going to be.
Brilliant. Well, let's go and have a look, at the back of the business and see how you make it all.
Yeah, great. These are the tanks that we use to make all the liqueurs in. They're actually old milk bulk tanks, so very basic kind of things.
Oh, more recycling.
Yeah, more recycling, absolutely. And simply the sloes and the gin and the sugar goes in here, and then we stir them on occasion. So this is the whole fruit in there. Having the whole fruit makes a big difference to the flavour of the products we find. You get a nice oil that comes out of the centre of the stone. It gives that lovely almond flavour, and obviously having the whole fruit itself gives And
how long will they be in the tank for?
Well, it really depends, but generally around about 12 to 16 weeks. That's the sort of length of time of the steeping of the products.
So you obviously have some kind of timetable of stirring that you have to stick to and come back
basis,
a daily basis. Come around and give it a stir. Right. So it's very manual. It's not mechanised.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, no. It's a very basic process. It's not complicated, but yeah, it works very well.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.